the question is, where do we apply our ambition? Usually ambition is related to a career path or money, but actually it's possible to become ambitious, for example, to be focused and to be able to keep your attention. The first stage in meditation and in life is to be ambitious. So it's to create a foundation. Financially speaking, for example, we want to create a foundation, or in emotionally, in all areas of our life, to create a foundation, to create. And it follows an impulse. It's really like a life impulse of creativity, of wanting to create, wanting to make. And so this is the first phase of our life. And we can apply that ambition in different places. Like, for example, my ambition is now to keep my focus, to be able to keep my focus. And then one practices that, right? So once you keep your attention, then a new stage can open, so to say. And now we are not just talking about you personally, but in general, after ambition comes another phase in life when ambition is not denied or thrown out of the window, but it's an evolution of ambition. And what is that? The evolution of ambition really is wisdom. So my motivation is no longer to achieve a goal or to get somewhere, which is to be ambitious, to produce, to create, but my goal becomes to understand, to go deeper, to learn. And then we touch the surface of wisdom to make experience, not only that, but through the experience, to contemplate after the experience and contemplate that experience so that I can truly understand it and get deeper with it in my sensation, in my understanding. And so this is, for example, when I have an experience that moves me in a certain way, then I walk outside, I take a moment to look into the sky, and I contemplate this experience. What is at the core of it? What's the truth here? So it's starting to inquire and uh, develop wisdom through experience and the contemplation of that experience. And And so this is the second stage, which is not a denying of ambition. We can still ambitious, we can still create, we can still practice to focus, um, but the motivation changes. It's no longer about wanting to be the best at focusing, but it's about learning to focus so that we can notice more deeply what is true, so that we can um, be more dedicated to our life in the present, so that we can see the beauty in nature, in others, so that the motivation changes. It's no longer about me, but about a bigger learning. So, for example, maybe you've heard about the Vipassana retreats. People do like 11 days, really hardcore meditation. And then the question is, what is my intention or what is my motivation? Is my motivation to succeed at doing 11 days and be, like advanced meditator? That's a purely ambitious motivation. Nothing wrong with that actually, but it's a start, it's an entry stage. And then later, eventually the motivation no longer is ambition, but it's wisdom. I do these 11 days to go deeper, to learn about myself, to feel and see and understand more clearly. And if this is done after 4 days and I feel I've seen enough, then I have the wisdom to to stop. And I don't have to get to 11 days. You see, or I don't have to get to the goal that I envisioned, because the goal, the intention is no longer to reach a goal, but the intention is to learn. And so it doesn't matter where I get to. And and so that's the second stage, so to say, on this spiritual journey. And then the third stage is actually uh, not ambition, not wisdom, but consciousness. And it's more difficult to talk about that, and we will not go so much into it today. But the motivation no longer is even understanding, even inquiring or learning more, but the intention is to merge with the universe, to merge with consciousness itself, meaning everything that exists, everything that is conscious, all the animals, all the human beings, to become aware and conscious of all that. So meaning I no longer am just focused on my thoughts and my emotions, but I become conscious of all thoughts and all emotions, and I can start to relate to the bigger picture. So that becomes its own motivation to merge with the universe, to merge with consciousness itself. And this is not the, oftentimes this these stages come relating to age also, but not always. But for example, until around 30, ambition tends to be the main motivation to make money, to be successful, whatever the pursuit is. And then after we've become around 30, and then until 60, motivation tends to be wisdom. This is like the normal way, so to say. But some people never grow up, so their ambition, their motivation, always ambition, 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 until they come to a point when they realize that ambition is endless. It's never fulfilled. So one cannot find happiness through ambition. Impossible to find happiness through ambition. So once we move to the second phase, maybe from 30 to 60, could be like that, then the motivation changes. And so from 30 to 60, most likely because we start to want to learn more. We realized already ambition is a bottomless pit. It's never ending. So we want to go deeper and see what's really at the heart of things. And then as we gain wisdom, gain experience, contemplate that experience, eventually we realize, oh, there's nothing outside consciousness. There's nothing outside there's nothing separate from me. I can relate to everything. I can understand. If I really go deep, I can understand everything. Not that I have to agree with everything, but I can understand every psychological process, every natural process, everything on the planet I can understand, I can relate to, because it's all a projection of my own system. The entire world is a creation, or is a reflection of my inside world. So it's a mirror. And then in that moment, maybe from 30 to 90, if we're lucky to live so long, then it becomes all dedicated to consciousness, to that bigger picture. But again, it doesn't need to be in those specific age brackets, but that tends to be the journey for most people. And then there are also other scenarios. So it's really useful, I think, to know this and to realize or start to contemplate where we are on that journey.